The outcome is definitely the best that could have happened. It's such a blessing. It started out as pretty much more of a passion project. He's worked on Tyler. He's worked on games before, and I've done one other game for music. We're still new to this, but to get this outcome was not expected.
So how did you connect with Tyler? How did that come about? How did that connection even start?
I've been friends with Tyler since primary school. We've known each other a long time. That's one of the reasons we work well together. We've got that foundation. Working together was fun. It helps see each other in person and talk over points. It's super useful when making a soundtrack for a game, because if you get access to the actual game and what the developer is thinking, it's very helpful. Just having that back and forth boosts the outcome we're trying to achieve. A lot of people have said that the music works so well with the game.
The way it comes in and, like, you know what I'm saying, matches the vibe or whatever. Y'all put that together very well. There's no way that could have happened seamlessly without that sort of communication and, I guess, blends of vision, what you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, having that communication and that personal level between us is just, yeah, it really helped. One thing with the soundtrack as well is I kind of wanted the soundtrack to not really sound stereotypical for that type for this type of game. I wanted it to fit, but not so expected.
My favorite song, I went to Spotify trying to figure out who you were. My favorite is Unaltered. I love the way that,
Mm,
you know, kind of the wave, like, it fits
yep.
perfectly. And then that drum comes in and it kind of hits you
Mm,
hard. It's kind of unexpected. I can see
yeah.
how that can fit.
Thank you. That was a really cool song. It took forever to make. Probably one of the longest. The main instrument was actually bass guitar. I can't play guitar very well.
How do you come up with your sounds and things like that? Do you play instruments?
Yeah, I play piano. I've been playing piano for 15, 16 years. How old
Okay.
am I? Nearly 23. Been playing it for a long time.
Hmm.
But I think at the end of high school, I started to actually I've been playing for years, but I don't think I actually started genuinely playing piano until the end of high school. Before that, my parents wanted me to learn an instrument, and I
Yeah.
was, I started actually enjoying it, especially jazz piano. I love big, lush chords,
Mhm.
progressions, a lot of influence there. I also go to church as well, and I play at church, so there's a lot of, voicings I use in some of my work. I've got inspiration from a variety of sources. I only play piano, a tiny bit of bass, and I can barely play guitar at all. Unaltered was on the bass. I've had to do it section by section, chop it up and edit it. A lot of the instruments I use are MIDI instruments all done on the computer. I use
Mhm.
Ableton Live. I used to use FL Studio years ago. I didn't really like the interface on that one.
I've used just about anything. Were you always looking to do music for video games? Was it just like Tyler was in need of sound and you were able to provide it? How do you look at your trajectory as an artist or whatever you wanted to do? And then this success is just kind of boom. Now everybody's
Mm.
probably like, oh, who is this? How have you navigated all that?
I think when it started out, well, I think what really helped both of us was we both loved video games and music. Tyler and I always have talked about music, who we're listening to, what we love. And it just worked out perfectly because he's been developing games for quite a few years, just doing some
Mhm.
small stuff. He is so smart and he's such a hard one.
This game is well thought out. It's sort of simple in a way because it's like, wow, I could have thought of that. Or like, I
Mm,
mean, simulate. People have done all kind of simulators and stuff, but like, I
mm,
think it's also the story, just kind of how things are laid out. I mean, obviously the music, you know, gives it that boost because I mean, in certain situations, you hear that tune, puts you in a different zone, different mood. Schedule One is definitely on the rise. I found the game looking for stream games. I just got my PC and I'm like, okay, what's the latest and greatest? What's going on? And
mm,
Schedule One was right there. And I'm like, oh,
mhm.
okay. And then I start reading. I'm like, okay, this is my jam, right? That's how I got started. And so, I mean, I guess that kind of is kind of crazy. We get to have a interview now. Cause I mean, I wasn't even really thinking that far ahead when I was searching for that. So that's pretty cool. What type of things were you doing before the success? Before people knew you, were you doing different gigs? You said you were playing in church. What were you doing beforehand?
I worked on one other game in
Mhm.
terms of music back in 2020. That was the first time I made music on a digital audio workstation.
Okay.
So since then, I've been doodling with music, nothing serious. I've been studying and working a part-time job. I knew Tyler was gearing up for this project. He started working on it about 3.5 years ago, maybe mid 2022. He told me about it and I was immediately interested. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let me know when you want me to start working on it. So I started working on the music probably late 2023. And I started off, pretty slow. I wasn't doing it like full time or anything. It was just whenever I got the chance, I just started making some stuff. And then, as the game progressed through, I started working on it a bit more on the soundtrack, a lot more heavier when we were getting closer to release of the demo. And yeah, from the demo to full release, I had a few more tracks to finish up, but it all turned out really well. Actually, interestingly enough, the first promotional thing for the game, the first trailer that came out, that was mid 2024. It had barely any traction. I think it got on YouTube maybe 4,000 views. It was only very small. Not many people knew about it back then. But
Yeah.
the music I made for that one took a long time to get right. It's one of the least known tracks, but and that's the thing with music. Like a lot of the tracks, they've all got a special place in my heart, and they all
Yeah.
took like a certain amount of time. But of course, there's only a few that people will really like associate with the game the next few years or whatever. And I'm fine with that. That's still really cool. But there's always a story with every track I've made. Really cool process. The first trailer when it dropped, that music was inspired by the Mamas and the Papas' California Dreamin', classic song from the 60s. I randomly heard that on my Spotify feed going to work one day, and that was kind of the inspiration for that first ever track that came out for the game. And yeah, there's always a little story with every track. That one holds a special place in my heart because, like, yeah, we went through quite a few different tracks to try and get right for the first, because you want to make a strong first
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah.
Anything you do. So I went through a number of different tracks before we finally came across something we were both happy with. And the process with all the music, I went through a number of songs before we were happy with certain things. The main theme, we went through 7 tracks before we got something we were happy with.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think if I saw it right, there was just an update and it was like 9 new songs or something on there. How many songs do you like? Do you have songs for every update? How do you work? Like, are you like a fast worker? Do you like to take your time, like you said, like on some instances, just depend on the song? Like, how do you work?
Well, with the main Schedule 1 soundtrack, that took me a very long time. I was very intentional with that. The jukebox update, those were mostly tracks that I had pretty much just sitting around that I thought were I thought they were, like, in a pretty good state and ready to.
Yeah.
And Tyler, because a lot of people were asking for putting, like, some kind of jukebox or radio into the game where you can just listen to the music whenever you want. That was Tyler's idea to put the jukebox in. I had a few tracks sitting around that I thought would still work, the game, so I
Yeah.
put them in with that as well.
That shows his wherewithal to have that idea and serve the customer. People are asking for it, give people what they're asking for. But I understand that feeling of having tracks just sitting everywhere and nothing to do with them. That's kind of cool that, you was able to take that and sort of make another update.
Yeah, for sure.
This game is still in its early stages, days, whatever you want to call that.
Mhm.
For the most part, I think this is just going to snowball for you, buddy. So, I mean, hey, get ready. But sort of like, what's the next step for you? Do you want to do more games? Are you comfortable where you are? Like, sort of, what's your goals as far as after this sort of successful game is already launched?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've already, like, I'm pretty much, so as I said, I was working a part-time job. I've actually quit that now.
Yeah, I don't think you
Um,
need that right
no, no, absolutely not. But yeah, so I was studying. I'm taking a little break from that only because I'm now working full time as a music
now.
producer. I've got a few things coming up at the moment. I've got some more just indie devs that I've been chatting with that
Mhm.
I will probably be doing the soundtrack for them as well.
Okay.
Things take time, so they're not gonna be out shortly, but I've got a few games I might be working with. I've got a few artists I've been talking to. I've been sending out demos. I'm just trying to strike while the iron's hot right now. I want to do as much work as I can. Honestly, this is the beginning of my career. I'd love to keep doing this for the rest of my life.
I guess this was, like, right before it exploded, I guess, because, like,
Yeah.
it was, you were doing numbers, but, like, now you look at it and obviously it's, like, just ridiculous numbers. How have you processed all of that? Obviously, that's not something that happens every day. How have you mentally reeled all of this in? Because, I mean, I can imagine it probably is a lot to take in.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm at this point, I'm pretty comfortable with it all right
Mhm.
now. It's been enough time where I've registered it all, and it did take a while for me to go, oh wow, this is actually huge. I remember maybe a week after the game released, I saw the numbers and I was in a shopping center. I just started walking around, not really thinking. I was
Yeah.
having a micro panic attack. I was like, this is crazy. I must have looked absolutely mad because I was walking
Yeah.
around at least 10 times and it was a big shopping center. That was my cardio for the day. Crazy. And I was freaking out. When it first started, it was a lot to take in, it was a lot to process. And it did take me a very long time to convince myself this was real and this was actually happening. It's been an absolute roller coaster, but I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute.
Definitely an entertaining start to your career. You could start a lot worse. You got some runway now, and I think this game is going to continue to grow. So, hopefully you're cooking up some more sound because it looked like that jukebox gonna need some more music, my man. That's for sure. But you say you and Tyler, y'all like love video games and stuff. Like now that
Mhm.
sort of this success is happening, getting a lot of interviews, going to conferences, talking to people. How has it hit you from a visibility standpoint?
Yeah, we've been chatting with a few different people from different places. I We had a meeting with Atlantic Records about a potential vinyl release for the game. That might still happen. We're in the talking stages, so nothing confirmed. Me and my mates went down to Melbourne for a Counter-Strike tournament. We were invited to an after party with Cold Ones. Yeah, we got to meet quite a few people there. Some other game devs were there as well, so we did a lot of networking. It was wild seeing people I've been watching on YouTube for years, talking with them, seeing how they are, and it's always funny, like, you see these people all the time on your screen and you meet them in real life and you're like, "Oh, these are just normal people." Like
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
it is still it's still a cool experience, but it's like
Yeah.
it's just I don't know,
It's
it's
different
really
seeing
hard
them on
to
the screen,
explain.
yeah.
Cool.
It's not the same aura. You can kinda hide things on screen, but in
Yeah.
person, they're right there in front of your face. You don't look as tough at sizing people up.
That's not to diss the people I met. It was super lovely, really cool to meet, but it was completely different than what you'd expect.
So, I mean, because I don't even know what time is it for you over there, right? Like,
Yeah, so it's 9:30 in the morning right now.
yeah, see, so it's like
9:26.
6:30 afternoon for me. So, I mean, we
Yeah, yeah,
basically just
so
completely flipped. Is it a lot of gaming things to do? Like, is this sort of thing like cultivated, or was this sort of just, Tyler's a
mm.
genius and I'm great at music, so here we go? Like, how does that sort of all factor into it?
Mm. Well, actually, we're from Sydney,
Oh,
Australia,
okay.
but I would say Melbourne's probably more of the creative city in Australia. Sydney's more business professional, I'd
Hmm.
say, if you just had to sum them up in one word. So I think Melbourne would probably be more in line with the type of work that we're doing, but Sydney still has that nice kind of mix of both. There's a lot of professionalism there, so I mean, either cities would be great to work in, but probably more networking opportunities in Melbourne, more creative people there, a lot of musos. Australia is definitely lacking a little bit when it comes to creativity. You'll notice if anyone becomes big in Australia, they immediately go to the US. US kind of seems to just vacuum everyone up.
Yeah,
So I'd love if talent stayed in Australia. That's not saying anything against the US, but,
right. You want to cultivate it at home. So, I mean, yeah,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
if everyone that makes it or whatever, if everyone stayed, then you know, you would be, I guess, more tourists, more people to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
listen to you and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So you would get all the benefits and be able to reach more people at the same time.
Exactly. We have a much smaller population, which does contribute to that factor. That's a big dream of mine, seeing Australia, you know, keep talent in Australia and we ourselves become some kind of big creative force. But that'd be nice. Bit of a pipe dream, but eh,
Hey man, you got to shoot for. Hey, I mean, ain't no way you could have seen this coming. Anything can happen
well,
at this point. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for sure.
You never know. You want to plug anything? Shout it out so I can get it to the people.
You can follow me on Instagram at underscore Kaesul underscore. I'll be posting a lot more stuff on there in future. There's just quite a bit of stuff I'm dealing with at the moment, but yeah, definitely a lot more stuff going to be coming out on there. I will have a website up soon at one point. I'm working with someone at the moment with that. So that's underway. You can find me on Spotify as well. Yeah, definitely just keep a lookout. There's absolutely more stuff coming and I'm super excited to work on some more stuff. So yeah,
Cool.
just
Yeah.
keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Will do. Appreciate that.